everyone. This is John Rollins, and we are here with the Engaged Youth Forum. Engaged Youth Forum is issues facing the youth with answers from the youth. And what we do is we take a few minutes, we try to do it on a weekly basis, where we talk about some issues that are facing our society, issues that may be facing our young people, or just topics in general, topics of interest. It's an excellent opportunity for them to practice their public speaking, learn how to communicate and to gather and share their thoughts. Okay, on the topics that we select, they give their opinion. They talk about things that they may do. This is a personal blog. We're not trying to tell you what to do. We're not giving you advice. We're sharing with you simply what we may do in those situations and what we believe works for us. If you try it and it doesn't work for you, of course, we take no responsibility for you. We recommend that you try it or not, depending on what you hear. All right. But we found out that they give some really good insights, some really thought-provoking responses. And so it may not be a bad idea to give some attention or some consideration to some of their recommendations. All right. So before we begin, we want to go ahead and do introductions. So we'll allow you all to find out who we have with us today.
Hi, I'm KD, and I am a rising senior.
Welcome, Katie. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And I'm a middle school student.
Amila's a middle school student. Amila, I was sharing with you before we began. I love that background. Just something about that black and gold. It resonates with me. Thank you for being here, Amila.
Hi, I'm Tony, and I'm going to 8th grade.
Hi, Tony. Welcome, welcome. It's always a pleasure to have each of you here. So for today, we're talking about our rights. You all know that we have this thing called the Constitution, and then we have the preamble, and we have the amendments to them, and all of those things. And so, but we also understand that many times people may not always know their rights, and so they may find themselves in a situation. And sometimes we think that our youth, even though they may have rights as citizens, many times the way that those rights are explained to them and the way they understood, it may not be consistent with reality as some people may see it. So our first topic today is with regards to those rights as a citizen, especially a youth in this country. So what are your rights?
Our rights at this age I feel are very limited, but I feel like our rights right now are our freedom to voice our opinions, express ourselves, and to express our religion and culture, and not have to be limited to nothing.
Okay, all right. So definitely the right to voice and share your opinions, and we know that everybody has opinions. So even as youth, you do have that option. Okay, Armila, what about you?
Mainly, I feel like what youth uses for their rights, mainly, like what they think about when you first think about rights for like children or teenagers, you think about how they're usually able to talk about really anything they want to because they're able just to say what they really need to. And also some other rights that I feel like that are good rights, for not just children and youth, but like adults too, are like, freedom to speech, freedom to practice religion, whatever. You know what I mean? I find that just fair.
Okay, very good. Yes. All right. Thank you, Tony.
I feel that my rights as a young person, not an adult, freedom of speech and like being able to express myself, uh, and like basic human rights too, like being like what I forgot what the human rights are, but like since I'm a human, I have human rights. You know, that's all I got.
Okay. All right. So as a human, she's saying that there are certain things that are just you should expect. Okay. Now, one of the ideas behind this topic is that we that all people are created equal. We have the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All right. So we've heard that before, right? All right. So do we believe that? Well, let me ask the question differently. With regards to those rights, how do you personally feel that those rights are being enforced? And Tony, if you don't mind, can you answer that for us first? How are those rights being enforced? Those rights that you have.
Um, I think that the rights that we have, like for first, I'm gonna say for freedom of speech, like the rights that young people have for freedom of speech. Like I feel like some people don't get that we can have our own opinion no matter how old we are. Because I don't feel like that right is like being enforced as well as it should. Because like sometimes when I'm debating with certain people or debating with older people, they're like, well, since you're younger than me, you obviously wouldn't understand. Like, just because I'm younger than you doesn't mean I'm dumb. I can still have my own opinion and know my facts, and you can still be wrong. It doesn't matter how old you are. And for like you said, the rights that we have, like all people are equal, and like freedom of life and liberty and pursuit of happiness. Um, for all people are equal, those rights aren't enforced as well as they should be. Because if all people are equal, then we wouldn't be having women or people of color getting paid less than white men who do the exact same jobs. Because there are lots of tests and like statistics that are being done, and they have found that people of color and women get paid less than men and white men. Like while they get paid dollars, they get paid cents to those dollars. So the whole equal thing, that's not being enforced well at all.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Amala, I see you nodding your head. What are your thoughts? How do you feel these rights are being enforced?
I think that, some rights are being enforced very good. Like there's some rights, but I feel like most rights that people have aren't really being enforced because you see all the time how people are trying to talk and have freedom of speech and people shut that down. And you see how, freedom of religion and things like that, and people are going to church and things like that, and then people are getting shot and the churches are being bombed and things like that because they're just trying they have a right to be doing these things, but people feel like certain people shouldn't have a right to do these things, which is what I really don't understand too much. And I agree with Tony because I feel like a lot of people just because we're younger, they believe that we don't really have like a say in things, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right, Katie.
I will say that I don't feel like I'm being enforced correctly because having that freedom to express yourself is the freedom to let yourself be you and allow yourself to use to represent yourself. And that's like, to me, like with schools that have uniforms, you're taking away the freedom of expression of that student. They don't really get to show who they're not. I know there's like pros and cons of that situation, but to me, I feel like the freedom of expression is limited due to uniforms. And then second of all, I would just like to say, like, when I was in school, there was always like this thing that you're not allowed to pray. Because when I was younger, I was taught you pray before your food and then you eat. I remember one day starting or in elementary school, I was praying and then the student went and told the teacher and the teacher was like, you can't pray. And I prayed anyway, but I mean, I was told I can't do that. And I feel like it's also a thing that's limited. I feel like if I'm praying, how does that affect you? To me, if I'm praying to my God, thanking Him for my food that was provided from me, that shouldn't have nothing to do with you. And then there's the freedom of having liberty, pursuit, and life. I think I said that wrong. But a lot of African Americans these days don't even get that freedom of life due to cops and their brutality and everything else. So I feel like it's being enforced just to a small extent, but it's not fully there.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, I had one question that I wanted to. Well, I have one more question that I want to ask, but I want to follow up to this question, Katie, and I'll ask you first. I've heard you all, I think all three of you all, use the term freedom with regards to your who you are and what you have available to you. So, and this is a question that we didn't talk about in advance. So if you all want to pass on this out, it's okay. But are freedoms the equivalent of rights? Or are freedoms a product of rights? Or what is the correlation between our freedoms and our rights? And Katie, I want to start with you first.
I will say that freedoms are our rights because they allow us to, they give us that, it enables us to go and do these things. So that's why I would say freedom are, and they just give us those liberties that we need.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine. I was saying that it's like essential as a human being, these freedoms and rights.
Okay. Amila, what are your thoughts?
Well, so may I hear the question again?
When the term freedoms and the term rights, are they the same thing? Are they synonymous? Or do we have freedoms because of our rights? Are the freedoms a product of the rights that we enjoy?
I feel like maybe for like people who are white, they might already come with like freedom when they're born. But I feel like if freedom of rights wasn't an actual like right, then I don't really feel like people of like my color and things like that and people like that, they wouldn't really have rights or freedom of speech or freedom of really anything. So that's kind of my thought on it.
Okay, very good. And Tony, please share.
I think freedom and rights are equal because, like, how can you have freedom but you have no rights? Like, you can't have freedom without any rights because, like, that's like saying, oh, you're free, but you can't do this and this and this and this and this. And you have to do exactly what I tell you or else there are going to be consequences. But, like, if you have rights, how can you have rights but not have freedom? Like, they're both, you can't have one without the other. That's how I feel. So they should be equal. But I also feel like rights are more enforced for certain groups. Like, if you're white, like, you know how like white privilege, like you have, like everyone has the same amount of rights, but like white people have kind of more over like people call you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have privilege. It's, I don't know how to explain it, but I hope you.
I've heard that phrase before. I've heard the phrase white privilege, and I've heard people give examples of what they think are indicative of those white privileges. So yeah, I'm familiar with that phrase. All right, very good. Thank you. And again, I know that was not one of the questions that we had prepared. So I know that you're just speaking from your initial thoughts. Last question. What concern, and Tony, I'll start with you if you don't mind. What concern, if any, do you have about possibly losing your rights or some of your rights?
If I were to lose my rights, that'd be unconstitutional. I'm just saying. Because like isn't a constitution like for the people? Like there's something in the government that says we the people and then list of all our rights. So like if you're taking away our rights, then you're taking away our freedom, and this is the land of the free, so can't have one without the other. Like you can't have rights without freedom, you can't have freedom without rights.
Okay, so it sounds like you do have concerns if those rights are revoked. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, Amila, what about you? What are your thoughts? What concerns, if any, do you have about losing your rights?
Well, if I guess if I were to lose my rights, I wouldn't really think that. I feel like that's gonna happen right now, but I feel like with the election coming up and a lot of other things starting to happen in our world, I feel like it could happen. Not like right now, but like in the next coming years. It depends on who we put in power, and it depends on what goes on in the world. And so right now, I'm not afraid about losing my rights, but I feel like in the future that could be something I become scared of.
Okay, all right, Katie?
I feel like I don't think we will never lose our right, but because of politicians, they want to protect their image. Of course, they're going to go back to the Constitution. They're not going to go and violate that. They're not going to violate the Bill of Rights. They're not going to violate that. But I do feel like if if our rights are limited, we should protest and do it peacefully, like Martin Luther King, and let our voice be heard, and not just stand there and nothing happens. So I don't think we'll lose our right because they want to protect their image. But if something does happen to limit us, then a protest needs to be had or made.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, this is the Engage Youth Forum, and our topic today was, we went there a little while, a little bit, because, before we came on, we were talking about, these rights, they have been afforded to us through legislation. We know that legislation changes, and one of them mentioned that depending on who is in power, this isn't a political statement or political platform, but depending on who's in power, that right to free health care, it can go out the window. So if those types of rights are able to be voted on and given or taken away, rescinded, then what other rights could we possibly lose as a result of individuals who are now enlightened and they have more information and they want to create this more perfect union for we the people? And one of the things that you heard them say is that we have to use our voices. We have to stand up for those things that we believe, and I no pun intended, that we believe are right, regardless of whether it's been accepted through legislation or whether or not it has been accepted. Those of us who believe something is right, that's one of the freedoms that we have to stand up for. And then, of course, whatever the consequences may be, if we believe that we're standing for those things that are right, then I think we're willing to accept them. Well, you all, it's that time of the session when we are getting ready to wrap up. This is the Engage Youth Forum, issues facing the youth, answers from the youth. If you've not had someone that come into your life, and I know we missed last week, so we've given you 2 whole weeks. If no one has come along in your life to remind you of just how great you are, to remind you of your value, to let you know that the world would not be the same if you were not here, then we accept that opportunity, and we want to remind you, one, 2. Unmute Tony. Unmute Tony. 1, 2, 3.
You are important.
Yes, you are. You are important. And don't you ever forget it. All right. Well, you all be blessed, and we will hopefully see you next week. Next week's going to be interesting. We've already talked about what it is we're going to discuss on next week. And let me tell you, these young people are ready. Put on the boxing gloves. That's my hint. Put on the boxing gloves. There's going to be some competition. All right, you all enjoy your week and enjoy school when school gets started. Make sure you stay focused, do the things you're supposed to do so that you can make you and your others around you proud. All right? Bye. Love you.